things you have to do. Okay, since we're streaming live on Facebook.
We laugh.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we are live. Let me share it. No, I'm gonna have to do it on the phone. Okay. All right. Did you finish?
Yep, it says we approved your appeal at my age, so I'm confirmed. So I believe I can now do that. So
All
I need
right.
to go live too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because it says you're offline.
Hey, I'm learning all this technology stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the name of
All
the
right.
game. Got to do it.
Hi guys, Megan Marie here, trying something new, trying to do. So my friend and I are Ebony and Ivory on spiritual growth, and we do this every Wednesday night, and we're typically on Facebook Live, but we're trying to bring it over here
It says you have
to
no
TikTok
access.
too.
Okay,
And
I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna go back in again. We'll try again. It says you had no co-host access. I'm gonna try it again.
uh,
Might have needed to reboot it.
age.
Okay. All right, y'all. Bear with us. We are live on Facebook, and we're also getting live on TikTok. So bear with us just for a second.
Yeah, why is it not letting me? All the stuff is highlighted saying that I have all the credentials of it on the check requirements.
Let's see. Yeah, it says you have no co-host access. Okay, let's try this other way.
This is so weird.
It is.
I'm doing everything you say. Okay, I've confirmed everything's lit up saying that, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. We have two people who joined. Guys, be patient with us. We're trying to do something on here.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hello.
I don't know why it won't let me. All right, maybe.
Maybe you go out and come back in, and I'll do the same. Hey, y'all. I'm gonna go out and come back in. Sorry. Trying to get this thing together. Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna go out.
The other day, someone asked me why I wear sunglasses all the time, in which my
Sound like Carrie.
It did kind of sound like Gary.
Okay.
It's kind of like I don't want to go live again if it's not going to let me go. I don't want people popping in and
It don't make a difference, girl. Because they pop in, they don't always stay. It's like people scrolling, you'll see them, they'll pop in, they'll keep on going. Okay.
and it says congratulations, you can enjoy the full live experience now.
Okay, so what is wrong with this thing? Why it won't let you go live? Okay, so I invited you there.
Yeah, I'm not even getting any notifications that you're inviting me. You can now receive goals. Okay.
Are you live?
Oh, yeah, okay. It says I can send you to do the co-host.
Okay. Well, because you said you're offline now that I just pulled you up.
Which one do you want me to do, Tammy?
Whichever one you want. If you once you go online, if I can invite you, I will because I have you up. But it says you're offline. Okay.
Okay, well, I just invited you.
There we go.
There we
All right, there
go.
we go. Here it is.
Yay! So exciting.
Hey,
Hello,
y'all.
everybody.
Okay.
TikTok land. And I turn my volume down on my phone.
Yeah.
First, long live and spiritual growth. The two things that Tammy and I love, spiritual and growing. Like, it's that evolution, it's that ever evolving aspect. And, I really, honestly, I feel sorry for people who don't even want to attempt to tap into it. The people who just are so closed off to it, I seriously, I sometimes like really wonder like how in life you like, why don't you want to grow? Like, just it saddens me for people. It saddens me that, they
Yeah.
don't want to grow.
Right. It's like, what do you want to do?
Uh, but yet you want change in your life. That's like the big thing. Like people want all this change. People want you want this and you want that, but yet you're not willing to do any of the work. And then, like, I had a friend tell me the other day that a friend of hers, like, said something about her, about me not being a child of God because I was into spirituality and I was into astrology, and different things along those lines. And it was like, wow, really? Like, no. No, actually, we have all these gifts, all these things that are being given to us
Yes.
as kind of like a guideline. It's something, it's kind of like for all those people who basically, you play on the computer, all these like games on your phone and stuff like that, and all these people who pay for all these cheats and stuff like that. You have all these cheats at your hand. You have all these capabilities to be able to help you through the game of life.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't you tap into them? Why don't you actually try to explore them? Why is this such a devil worshiping thing and stuff like that? But yet you're fine on doing that and paying money on a freaking computer game. You're okay doing that. Please. It's like, please explain to me. Please tell me because I don't understand that aspect. I don't understand how you can think in that situation you can go and waste your money when you can be making more money by tapping in and being part of something big, something huge in your own life. And yeah, we don't do
Well,
it.
I think it's because we get so conditioned,
Yeah.
and religion actually. Okay, so I'm not a Karl Marx fan. Let me put that out there. I'm not a Karl Marx fan. I'm not a person that, studies a whole lot of him, but I do know what he said about religion was very true. Religion is the opiate of the masses, is what he said. And so when I looked into that, what that means is that's something that was created to put people to sleep so that they couldn't see what else was going on. They
Right.
can't be present. They just, they just go through their life and they're not present. They're not, thinking about what's going on or anything like that because they're so stuck in this religion that's brainwashing and manipulation and all that stuff. And here's my thing. Why cannot spirituality and religion coexist? What is the problem with that?
Right.
It's like,
I
what
think
is the
too many
problem?
people have to be, it's either this or that.
Right.
And life is not this or that. Like I have a hard time of like people who are literally are in that mindset of where it's like, oh, I did this or I didn't do this, it didn't work out, therefore I can't do it again. It's not this or that. Life is a rainbow, life is colors, life is so many vast vesticular things. Like, when we really think about it, you should be thinking of life as like a tree.
Yes.
You're the branch, I mean, you're the trunk of the tree, and
Hmm.
all your life experiences are all the different branches. When you look
Yes.
up at a tree, do you see one branch? Do you see one go out, or are there multiple? Are there lots of other, you know,
Trees.
branches that go into each of those limbs? There are. So why do we always think that like life is literally like this or that? And on the religion, like in many ways I am kind of anti-religion. because of it. Religion kills people. Religion to me, it does, like I was having that conversation with my son. My son is very anti on what I do, everything like that, on this. But he claims right now that, he is he's an atheist. He doesn't
Yeah.
believe in anything. And I'm like, no, atheist still, like, you still believe. Believing in nothing is believing in something. Like, let's be real about that.
And
But
most
his
kids go through that anyway.
they do. And so I'm letting him have his space with that information of that he wants to go ahead and, sit with that. Okay. But his argument to me was about like God and spirituality is that it causes wars and it kills people.
Wow.
No, man does that. Man does that using God as its weapon and using it as its tool. But I was like, but that's as dumb as saying that a gun kills people.
Right. Because a
A
gun
gun does not
cannot
kill
fire
people.
itself.
You need a person behind that gun to be able to pull it. And so when people are using God as that weapon and they're using themselves, I have a problem with that. When you're
Right.
using it to control other people, when you're using it to harm other people, when you're using it as a weapon. And really, it's kind of like it's a weapon of mass destruction. I mean, look at wars, look at every aspect of different things, and when it really comes down to it. So I have a problem that with religion is used on that aspect. And then look at how many people have died in the name of it. But it's a man who does it. It's the teachings of the man instead of why don't we stop and why don't we connect with ourselves? Why don't we cut out the middleman
Yes.
and just
And
go straight to me and God?
I think that's the part with religion. It's like that's a middleman. Because if you think about it, like Catholicism, you got to go to the Pope in order to get absolved of whatever sins or whatever the hell it is that you do, right?
Well, it's not
You-
even the
you-
Pope. I mean, look at the Catholic faith all in its whole, where, first it's a deacon, then it's a priest, then it's a cardinal, then it's a bishop, then it's another person of like the senior
and
cardinal bishop, and
and
to
most of
then
them
the
were all
Pope.
men.
All men, all men.
You think about that. It's like, when this was not what we were talking about today, but
No, but
it,
it
it
is, but
seems,
it's
I
self-care.
was going to say, but it has appeared to be that place and it's good. But I was thinking that, when you think about all of that, think about where the hell are the nuns at?
Yeah,
That's one of those things I used to kind of think about that because I only went to Catholic church maybe two or three times because I had an aunt that used to be Catholic and then she wasn't Catholic after a while, but she was when I would go to stay with her house. And so we would go to Catholic church, and that's the only way I knew. We would go to midnight mass, you know, because that way you
yeah.
didn't have to worry about getting up on Sunday.
Oh, I grew up going. My parents couldn't be bothered getting up and going to a Sunday mass and stuff like that. We went to 5 p.m. Saturday night mass.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually went to a church like that. I actually enjoyed it. It was actually really good. But yeah, so if you think about it, you have all this hierarchy
Hmm.
and all these people that you have to, deal with between you and God. And then, you know, these people are like, you can't get your messages directly from God. And I grew up in regular church, so we there was so many people. You had, just like you said, you got the bishop, you got the apostle, and then you have the fivefold ministry gifts, which is the
Right.
prophet, and all these people. And so, you got all these people between you and spirit. And this is what I tell people. I say, now am I don't do religion and I will not do religion, but I love God. I am a
Yeah.
God loving girl, and I feel like if we can get to that space, within us, because it's so many people that are so stuck just because of that. They're over here, oh, well, my pastor said I got to do this, or and it doesn't align with them. You know what I'm
Yeah, why are
saying?
you
It's
doing
it's
something
like
that's
you're not even thinking about that because this is where they have you in this box.
right?
If you don't do this, you don't do that. And if you don't, do such and such a thing, then you're not going to go to heaven. And then now they're saying shit like, well, you can go to heaven, but you're not going to get the mansion. Well, who the fuck are you to tell me that anyway? I mean,
So, well, we're
that's
just
my
replacing
question.
here for up there.
Yeah, that's it. Because, up there, if you don't do right, then you're not going to get your mansion.
Yeah.
I laughed. I was talking to a girl recently, like yesterday, day before, but we were talking about Reverend Ike. And I was saying, he was trying really hard to bring people to the light. I said, and they vilified him and demonized him. Oh my God, the church has just fucking demonized him really bad. But when you listen to what he is saying, he's trying to set people free
Yeah.
and tell them that they can have whatever it is that they desire. They can have connection and communication and talk to God themselves. And that was something that people got vilified from. That's where people went with that. It's like, oh my God, thank you so much for joining. Make sure when you come in, tap the screen. Tap that screen, give us some of those likes.
Heck yeah. Yeah, but
And
but it comes down to that self-care aspect. It does come down to what are you willing to do for yourself? Are
right,
you going to continue to always listen to someone else? Are you always, but and that goes to the larger big aspect of that we've become such a codependent society
right.
that that's what they want. That's what we're being programmed that we can't handle. We can't do this stuff. And there's a line of all these people that we could go through to be able to fix our problems. Well, doesn't that kind of become like the telephone? You like remember the telephone game when you were a kid? And it's like, oh, you told one thing to one person and then the next. And by the time you got to it, it's not even what the hell you were talking about. It's not even what you. So it's like cut out the middleman and just go to it. Just go to sit with God, sit with yourself
Yeah.
because sorry for anyone who's listening and watching who doesn't realize or know this or believe this, but God's not up there. Like he's right here. He's right here in your heart.
And the thing is on a level, people know that. People
See,
know that on a level, but
I
they
don't
don't
think
want to
people
accept
do.
it. Well, it's
I
brainwashing and they've been manipulated all these years.
I have to say that I there are probably girl there probably are like there's a good number of people that I know who, I've had this conversation with them and they're like, no, no, he's up there. He's up there. And it's like, okay, like,
Now
have your
you
belief.
heard what I said though. I said on a level. They're not going to admit it out of their mouth because they've heard this shit all their life. They've been looking up at the external God way out there in the sky somewhere that's got a big stick ready to hit them if they do something wrong or
No, I
take
really
away
think
their
that these
right to
people
go to
do.
heaven and all this kind of shit.
I really do think these people really do think that.
I can't believe that. I mean, it's just hard to believe. It's like they, yeah, like I said, that we've all got levels
We do.
because I'm sure that there has to be a time at some point in their journey that they question that shit because we all do.
Yeah, you know, but and when I finally, I always believed that, God was within me. And, and I was told that I was wrong. I was told everything that it was up and it still never sat with me. And then, I lived for many years thinking that, God was up there and, casting down, watching upon me, and casting his stones at me for, doing wrong and throwing those stones. Until, I had
Locking
my
you out of
spiritual
heaven.
awakening. Yeah, locking me out of heaven, being like, bitch, you too much of a rebel. You ain't coming up here.
You're a rebel.
I'm a rebel. But then, my life did start improving once I took the mentality that God was within me. When I started to do that self-care, when I started to do meditation, when I started to do sound therapy, when I started to do all those things, my rhythmic started to feel better. my nervous system started to deal better. And like I tell
Yeah.
people all the time with like meditation, because especially for like a person like me who grew up in a, complete dysfunctional fuck hell, like whatever, it took me over a year to be able to meditate. A
That's
year.
good. That's good because some people, um, for me, it took longer, but I had to find my own way to do it that worked for me. And I had to stop listening to people and start
Yeah,
listening to me because people would say when I first started on this journey, I went through, Lord, I've spent so much money, but I took so many classes and did so many courses, and then I had so many fucking freebies and all that stuff that, at this point in time, I'm not doing very many of them. I mean, they got to really call to me for me to do them. I'm not doing it. But I did all this stuff. And so I said that to say that I learned so much about things, but I had people telling me stuff like, oh, well, you need to do it this way, or you need to do it that way, or you have to sit, straight, put your feet on the floor or cross-legged in a yogi style with your, things up and all this shit. And I had people that actually did say those, teach that kind of stuff. And so for me, I had to say no, let's see, no, because one thing is, I have had back problems for decades. I can't do all that. Sometimes I have to lay down in the bed and do my meditations, and typically I do. I do it
right.
before I get up, before I go to bed, in the bed a lot of times. You know what I mean? And so certain things I was like, nah, because here I had said this to one person. I said, listen, I said, if you tell people that kind of stuff, I said, you're gonna run them away. I said, because they're already saying it's hard to meditate because it can't stop the brain from thinking.
Right.
I said, so you want to bring them back and make it easy. And that's one of the things that I like to do for the people that I work with, because I know that it's so much crazy shit out there and so much misinformation and so much stuff that to me it's like gatekeeping stuff. If you don't do it this way, then you can't be in the spiritual community.
Right.
And it's a lot of that. So I'm like, no, 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 no. Paralyzed people meditate. They can't put their feet on the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, 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 no. So I had to find my own way. So for me, I started meditating, doing stuff like washing dishes. That's why I talk about it, because I do it and I've done it and it worked for me, because washing dishes is something that I don't have to think about. I've been washing dishes for 50 years. So I know how to do it. And I'm talking about hand washing. So when I'm
All right.
washing dishes, that is the part that is meditation time for me. When I go work out, like I went to the gym yesterday and I worked out, that is meditation for me. Because at that time I have conversations with my guides, I talk to God and Jesus and all the people, and so that is meditation for me. When I'm making jewelry, it's a meditation for me. You know what I mean? So it's finding your own way and your own path and what looks and feels good to you, and that's the way it is to me with almost all of these different practices and stuff. You have to find ones that work for you and stop being
Right.
triggered by shit like when people say rituals, because a ritual is just something that you do over and fucking over, something
Actually,
that
so
you
someone
decided.
someone had a conversation with me about that the other day, and oh, did I write it down? Let me try. So so I went out and like Googled ritual and routine because this person had a very big problem that I said rituals and stuff like that. And so I wanted to be kind of like, because I can be a little spiteful sometimes like that.
Hmm.
The difference between rituals and routine is mindful. You can have, and so like I kind of like explain this, like your routine maybe is going to get a cup of coffee the first thing when you wake up every morning.
Right.
That's a ritual, but it's not a ritual in the classification sense because you're not using your mind. You're programmed to do it. A ritual now would be me waking up in the morning, grabbing my gratitude journal, and going and writing gratitude because it's different every day. I'm using my mind, I'm using mindfulness. And that's really the only difference between like the rituals and the routine aspect is the are you mindful of it? Are you doing it? And so the person throughout they were like, well, if you do that every day, if you're doing the gratitude journal and getting your coffee, that's your routine too. And I was like, yes, but it's still a ritual. No, it's not. It's not a ritual. And I said, yes, it is, because I may be doing the writing. Yes, the writing is a routine, but what I am writing is not the same thing every day. So I'm using my mind. It's a ritual because I'm calling in that gratitude. I'm calling in that information to me.
I agree with that. And it's it's important to make that distinction because if you think about it, when we celebrate Christmas and all that stuff,
It's routine.
what about when people go to church? Is that a ritual? It's supposed to be.
It's
Should
routine.
be. It should be. Should be.
Should be, but most people it's not. Most people just go there and they're there for the appearance. They're there to make themselves feel like they're something. They're there to for an image or to maybe
No,
meet up with
they're
some
there because that's how
friends.
the fuck they grew up, and that's what their family does, and they all go to their family's church with, everybody's,
And their routine.
and that's what they do, regardless of what happens when they go.
Right. Shoot, I grew up going to sleep and I was allowed to sleep in church.
See, it we could too, just because church was so long, because you could be at church for hours. I mean, it felt like a decade, but you could be there for hours. Like we would go sometimes 8 o'clock in the morning, and it would be 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night before we went home.
Oh God. That ain't happening in a Catholic church. You better be out of there in 45 minutes.
No,
That's the way it's gonna go.
that was my ex-husband's Methodist church too. If that preacher went past an hour, or girl, people would get up and walk out, and they would be smoking on the steps. And they would just get up
Yeah.
and walk out and be smoking on the steps. I never seen anything like it in my life. I was like, the fuck is wrong with these people? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, and I mean honestly, I never like they got a new preacher. It was a female, which was different for them because they only had
Well, that ain't
male
gonna
ones,
happen
and
in the
they had a
Catholic church. That
female.
ain't gonna happen.
Girl, I don't know. They doing some changing. But anyway, so they had this female, and she was a preacher, right? So because the other one they had, girl, 20 minutes was his sermon at the most, and he was blind. So they had this female, and she was actually really good. Like she gave a good message and all that stuff. Because I went a few times, my ex, and she was good. Girl, they ran her up out of that church because her sermons were probably 40, 30, 45. So that didn't give time enough for them to do their little announcements and all the other little things that they do. The choir, which they were so horrible, but so they didn't need long. But they didn't even have
Girl,
time to do any of that because she would preach 30, 45 minutes, and then people would get up and walk out the door. I never seen me like that. I was like, that's hella disrespectful.
funny. We one time had a visiting priest from Nigeria come, and
How'd that
Father
go over?
Massid. I loved him. Like he was great, but his first time ever at the church, he gets up to do his homily, after the readings and everything, and he goes, "So I was told in America that you guys have to be out of here in like 45 minutes." No, see, in Nigeria, we are about 3.5, 4 hours of a church. So I'm not even going to go and attempt to have any type of homily today or even try to explain the message because this was thrown on me yesterday that I have to be done here within 15 minutes or all you all are going to start walking out on me. So I'm just going to let you all know that I am a singing priest and the fact that you may be here a little bit longer for any of the masses that I am here because I don't think that you can put a time on the word of God. And that was his first homily. Do you know that these crazy people in this church clapped?
Look, it made him know what time it was.
They all just started clapping. And then, and actually, I really loved him more because he actually was doing an Easter service the one time, and the ex-husband used to get really upset, like if the kids would like fuss in church and stuff like that. It was always get them out of here, get them out of here. And I was the mom who, no, your kids sit there, they need to learn how to behave and stuff like that. If we keep constantly taking them out, then they're
Right.
never going to behave. They're never going to want to sit here
Exactly.
because of the
I
fact
agree.
that,
I was the same way.
and
No,
after yeah, and after the mass, Father Bernard actually did come up to us and stuff and like looked at my son and was like, "Oh, are you the one who's been making all the fussy noise and stuff like that?" And the ex-husband apologized to him and he was like, "Why are you apologizing? He has the closest relationship to God. He was just probably communicating with God even more about what he was listening and hearing about me. Don't you ever take a child out of my mass." Because they're the ones communicating. And that made me fall in love with Father Bernard even more of just like, that openness of, yeah, don't take the kids out. That they have the better connection.
exactly, and they do, and that's the truth. It's like, oh my God, what is really going on here?
Mhm.
Thank y'all for hanging out with us.
Yep. Tap those
Um,
screens, guys. Send us some love.
yes, tap tap tap. We will come on Wednesdays and hang out a little bit with y'all and talk a little bit about spiritual growth. If you guys have any questions, I can't see Facebook, but if y'all have any questions,
Well,
let us
Sean has
know.
asked who is Ebony and who is Ivory.
Really, really, Sean. Did you not see Stevie Wonder and Michael? I mean, what's his name? Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
That's how that came to us. It kind of, yeah. And Ebony colored her hair.
she did. I did forget to mention that.
Yeah, she's gonna color it again in a month because the gray does not like to color.
Uh,
It does not like to color. As a matter of fact, it gets super shiny.
oh,
Still gray.
I'm so fortunate I don't have that problem yet.
Yeah, well, give it time.
I got many, many more
What does
years.
my grandma say? Live a little longer.
I plan on living a lot longer,
I
but
was
it's
gonna
also it's
say,
that self-care. And I
I
got
didn't
good
think I was
genes.
gonna get it either, because I
I
tell
got
you,
good genes when it comes to that.
yeah, but it's kind of my time, I guess. I
What?
didn't have any before I turned 50, so I was good with that.
Right, there you go. There you go.
It's good. It's good. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. Like I tell people, I
No.
said to me, it's just growth, and I'm good with it. But I would like it to be, the color that I want it to be. You
We
know,
can't always have it the way that we want
like
it.
like when you put a color in, you kind of want it to be that color, but of course, it's not going to be that color. But we can do what we can. But I have
Right.
another thing, and I'm going to do it next month, so it's all good. But anyway, about this spiritual growth. I pulled a card from the Isis and I want to share it. The
All right.
Dark Healing Chamber. The most challenging task is to take courage in both hands and journey within to meet our own dark self and begin the healing task of bringing love, acceptance, and light to it. The sacred purpose of any enemy, within or without, is to push us to venture inwards, to seek and heal the darkness within. That's so perfect.
I do think it's fitting because, so many people are afraid of the dark.
Yes.
So many people, but so many people don't realize like you have to go through the dark to get to the light.
Well, there's a moon and
Remember,
there's a sun.
right? And I actually had a thought about it the other day, about how that you remember like when we were a kid, we used to always think of like if we keep digging holes and stuff like that, then we would dig to China.
Yeah.
We thought
Yeah.
like we could do that.
Yeah, we tried. Yeah.
Well,
Didn't work out.
and there's not a single person who did not try that. But the reality is that's what we have to do still of like, but we have to look at ourselves as that and we have to dig to get to the other side. It's that break on through. It's to get through the dark. You have to understand that all darkness, all light comes from dark. It is that contrast. But are you willing to go deep? Are you willing to go within inside of you And all those areas that you have pushed down, shoved down, ignored, suppressed, have spoken death to, can you choose to speak light to them? Can you choose to speak life? Light, life. Can you choose to do that? And so many people can't. So many people hold all those judgments against themselves. So many people hold because of the shame and the guilt. But yet, you don't look at where has that gotten you in life?
Well, and it's so what is that word? It escaped me, but it's contraindicated. That's not
Yeah,
the word, but that's kind of what it means. You know what I
contradiction.
mean? Yeah, it's like, really? I mean, you know that there are parts of us that we bury so deep that we have to go down and get them and bring them up. And I believe that that is a part of the journey. You know,
100.
as we start going in, we really we go down and we have to go down in that cave. You know, the one where we put the shit that we don't want nobody else to know.
What's the rabbit hole, that we
Right.
shove down everything within ourselves? Well,
Exactly.
we have to put the olive branch to ourselves. We have to put that olive branch down into that rabbit hole that we have created to
Yep.
make change.
Absolutely. Speaking of olive branch, so we went to the pool yesterday. We went to the gym, worked out, got a good workout. Girl, I slept so good. I was like, I need to do that more. But got a good workout and then got in the pool and swam. So we go to get in the pool. I get in, I'm there about 5 minutes. I'm just messing around, waiting on David to come because you have to come from the different rooms, the men
Right.
and the women you know, locker
Locker
rooms.
rooms.
And so he was coming out. He didn't come out, I came out first. And so, because we both had did the sauna and everything, and so we're coming out. So I'm standing in the pool, just messing around. And so David comes and he had like just got in. And so this guy comes up to us and says some crazy shit. And so I just looked, I said, okay. He said, well, you have to swim or you have to be, because I was exercising, like I was, working my legs and stuff like that in the water, because that's a different whole workout.
Yeah,
So I
water
was doing
aerobics.
that, and David had just got in. So he's like, well, this is a lap pool and you have to girl, it was like nobody in there but us. By the time we left, it was only two other people and they had their own laps. We were in one lane. And so I looked at David, David looked at me and I said, what do you think that was about? Now, of course, we both knew what that was about. And so I said, I'm not letting it go. I said, I am done letting bad behavior go.
Right.
I said, because I said, we're not going to be mistreated. I said, especially not, and you, U.S. Navy retired. I said, he's a child. I said, so we are not dealing with that. And so I could feel myself rising and I could feel the heat coming up from, the Scorpio and then, the Leo fire. I could feel it coming up. And so I was like, yeah. And so David was like, well, we'll just let it go. I was like, no, I will not.
That's a problem that we're letting too many things go. We're letting these bad behaviors just slip by. We can't. We have a voice for a reason.
Exactly. And I was like, no. I said, because you know why? He has a sergeant. He has a commander. I said, and you are not going to get away with mistreating. I said, especially not a Navy retired. We're on the Navy base,
All right.
And so anyway, so I'm just sitting there. And so finally I started actually just having a conversation with spirit in my team. I was like, hey, y'all need to help me. Because I was really about to get out that pool and go shut that shit down, right? But I was like,
Hmm.
no, 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 because this is what we are doing. We are moving to another realm. And so I started really having communication with my team. I was like, okay, y'all need to help me because you know, I got a lot of fire in me and my Scorpio will come out. Now my Pisces tries to override and be real sweet and all that stuff, and I am. But when my Pisces comes out, you better watch out. And so I was like, all right. So anyway, so I'm standing in the water, I'm doing my things, and David is swimming. And then I started, swimming a little bit. And so anyway, all of a sudden, and so he comes up because he's standing there, right? And I already said, and he probably could see the look on my face because I was already thinking, how I was going to handle that. I was like, do
Right.
I need to go? I'm gonna go find out his name, and do I need to get with his sergeant or his lieutenant or whoever is over him?
Right.
And so anyway, so he comes over and he asked David if he wanted to use some goggles because he was like, I see how red your eyes are getting, and you want to use these goggles, right? And so David was like, well, what you got? And he gave him, and I said, yeah, I said, because I was about to say something to you, and I said it, and I said it like I do, I was said it like I was joking, but I was serious as hell. So I was like, listen, I said, I was about to say something to you. I said, because um I wasn't I wasn't keen on the way that you were treating my husband, U.S. Navy retired. I said, this man is retired Navy. I said, and he demands respect. I said, and you are not gonna mistreat him, you know? Oh no,
Yeah.
ma'am, no, ma'am, then he started, and so David said, you know what? He said, this was an olive branch. I said, I know. That's what made me think about that. I was like, yeah. I said, and our team did it. Because I communicated with our team, girl, because I was about to show out.
But that's the problem.
Because I'm
And
a
it really is.
wish a motherfucker would generation.
And in some ways that needs to come back because that's why the bullies are getting away with what they're doing. That's why these
Exactly.
people are able to and we're not using our voices. We're not
Yeah.
using our voices in a proper, like, you don't have to get nasty about it. You don't have
Right.
to be ugly about it. That's a choice of a reactive, but we have to
Right.
learn how to have our emotions under control. But why do we just sit there all the time and allow people to disrespect and then be like, oh, well, we're going to be the bigger person and we're not going to. You
We're gonna
don't
take the
have
high
to
road.
return. Right. You don't have to return
I'm not
ugly.
taking the high road anymore. I have decided that I am not taking that road because I have taken it for 50 fucking years and I'm not doing it anymore. Not another day.
But there's a different,
You don't get to treat me like you think I'm supposed to be treated. You get to treat me like the queen and the goddess that I am. And you get to treat my husband like the
right.
king that he is, and we're not putting up with it. So, but I think the thing about it was that I communicated with my team and I used that type of thing to be in there because I know that's what
Yeah.
that was.
Well,
Because
it's to calm you
he wouldn't
down. It's
get
to
me over
ground
there into
you.
that shit. Because I started breathing. I was standing in the pool. I just started breathing, and girl, in the pool is like the lowest is 4 feet, so it gets me like right here.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to stand in the pool, and do my little exercises and whatnot and all that. And I'm like, okay, and then I'm trying to breathe. I just started breathing,
Yeah.
just taking deep breaths, just immediately because girl, I probably was red, red, red.
Right.
Because I was like,
And
we're
you
not
have
doing
all
it.
right to be, but it's
Absolutely.
also it's the fact of is like we have to learn because like anyone who can change your mood, anyone who can anger you, they have control over you. And we have to
Right.
stop giving our power away. And yes, sometimes that is, we don't have to have that emotional reaction. We don't
Right.
have to have that complete outburst. Just is exactly as what you did. You grounded yourself.
I
You
did.
thought about necessarily as to what it was. This person's not going to have this control. They're not going to have this power. And you were then going
Right.
to vocalize in a calm, collective manner. We need to
Exactly.
be having more of those conversations. We need to be able to be using our voice in that.
Yes.
And that's where it does come down in self-care of, when do you notice that your nervous system starts to have that reaction? When do you start to notice that you have that anxiety? When do you start to realize that? And when do you nip it in the bud?
Right. And
That
how does
that's the
that
other big
feel to
key.
you? That's the other thing that we deal with is how does that feel to you? How does it
Yeah.
feel in your body? Like where do you feel it? Like do you like I felt that thing in my damn stomach rising up. So I knew it was in my power center.
Yeah.
I knew that I felt it so strong. Sometimes I feel stuff, in my heart. And I know that, but it's like if you are not connecting to your body and to the spirit world so that you can understand how things feel in your body so that when it happens, you recognize it. So you can kind of start to avoid these triggers because that was a trigger for me. And I recognized that, I almost felt like, like the church people said that's a test. And I felt like that and I recognized it and I was like, whoa, I passed it. Because
And how empowering.
it was very much because typically I would have went off the reservation. By the time I finished, they would have had, commander of the base down there because this man disrespected my husband.
Yeah. They would have been sicking the dogs on you because you would
They
have been in the wrong in the
they'd been
situation.
sticking the dogs
And
on me.
that's the shitty part too, is that, we get into these situations because
Oh, I
people, but
wouldn't have
this
been
is,
wrong. I'd have been right.
but I'm saying, but no, but in like how the first view of how people would have looked at it,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you would have
yeah.
been the wrong. You would have been the one having
Oh, I'd have been
emotional.
an angry black woman.
Right, exactly. Not the
And I'm
fact that
like,
you were provoked.
not the
The
fact
bear
that I
was
was fucking
poked.
disrespected and provoked and triggered like hell. It'd been
Right.
like that TikTok I saw where the girl called the police on the guy and they shot her.
I do what?
Yeah. She called the police on this guy that she thought was, gonna hit her, beat her, abuse her, or whatever. They shot her instead of the
Why?
abuse. Well,
Well,
now
it's probably because of her emotional reaction, which a lot of
well,
people,
she had a knife, but she had it for the abuser, and
that she
they
wouldn't put it
came
down.
in. Well, they didn't give her time.
Oh.
It was one of those type of things, and I was like, I don't understand any of that. But so it was one of those things, attorney crumps on it. So, so they'll get some money.
Yeah.
Shame that
But
she
it's
lost her life.
learning.
And the other part is too, is it makes people think I can't call the cops
Right.
if I look like me,
Yeah.
for things like that. I'm not calling the cops, not for that. You know what I mean? That's what makes people think. Now, me personally, I've not ever had any problems with cops at all. And I've been stopped many, many, many times because I like to drive fast.
I was just gonna say
And
that
I was
lead
even
foot.
stopped in Myrtle Beach, which, is not really a place where we like to get stopped. Yeah. But yeah, no, in Virginia, I think I got a ticket in every time I drove through Virginia. Yeah.
You got caught by those air patrollers.
Yeah, please. Every time I drove through Virginia, I think I drove through Virginia one time and didn't get pulled over. Every fucking time. And it's like I make a point to slow down. But yeah, so you have to. I think that as we grow on this journey and as we, begin to really connect with our spirit team and really, start to make those shifts. Because I don't, for me, I feel like a shift is here. I
Major.
feel it's so strong. And because I was looking at the pretty moon last night. I started to put it on the background. But I was looking I was looking at the pretty moon and I was like, man, that is so beautiful. But Megan, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh wow.
Like,
Hey, it's gonna come out. It always comes out.
hey, that's supposed to be the sun.
Yeah.
The sun comes out tomorrow. That's what Annie told us.
But the moon's gonna come out too. That's the one thing that people have to start like paying attention to and realizing, it's
It's
always
like the
going to come out.
shadows. Like the shadows, right?
Yeah,
Because
what
for
it's done in the
me,
dark.
that was a shadow. That was a shadow. Because
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was gonna pop, until that thing went down like that because he didn't speak to anybody else. Now the other people that came in, he didn't go say bust at them and say nothing.
Yeah.
That's how we knew. We were like, oh, so it's a different rule for us. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But people, I think, there's just, I just think there's so much ignorance,
It
when it
is.
comes to that and that people don't see it. But again, I think, like I did a post the other day about like narcissism abuse, in many ways, that's the same, type of thing. But like I
Oh
did a
yeah.
post about how that, like, I think we are becoming desensitized to like narcissistic abuse because it's so spoken about that we now are just accepting this as like normal behaviors, but not enough people, like people want to talk all in like little circles and stuff like that. They want to talk about how wrong it is in like little groups and stuff like that, but we're not addressing it on a larger scale. We're not
Because
addressing of that like this is how it is, and people aren't using again their voices to be able to take care of themselves, you know?
well, if
And
you think about it, we're the people that are in charge.
yeah,
Yeah. Do I need to say
I
anything
I
else?
I brought that out that like, you know, you don't think that there doesn't have to be necessarily of narcissistic of we live in a narcissistic society.
Yes.
We live in a racist society. You'll get a
Yes.
major
Oh
trip
no,
about
no,
this.
no, no, no. Nikki Haley said we didn't. There's
Oh
no
my God.
no
That's what
racism.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna bring up.
yeah.
I was
Uh-huh.
just gonna bring her up because
I
we
seen
talked
it.
about her the other day on the radio show about how that she says we don't live. And I was like, as soon as Lena played that clip, I was like, fuck that bitch. That girl. And people were like, wait, what? And I was
Wait,
like,
wait, wait, wait. Not the brown girl.
she was the governor of South Carolina for
I know.
eight
I was
years.
there.
I
I
know. That's why I
remember.
was like, you're going to die laughing. She ran her whole entire campaign about being Indian and racist and the racism that she did. She did the whole speech the first time she won
But now
about
she
how the
forgot.
milestones of that her family has made of the first Indian couple, the first woman and Indian, everything. She made every damn thing to do about race in her
Okay.
governor elections in South Carolina. People go back and watch videos, and you don't want to talk about the hypocrisy of like what you're being fed and what you're being watching and stuff. And now she wants to go because now she's running for president. She wants to say, "Oh, we don't
Well,
live in a racist
I
state."
was gonna say they want to erase all of that. They want to erase all of that. They don't want people to know that. They would like to erase it. They would like to say, "Oh, well, it doesn't exist," and you're like, "Well, it might not." And I've heard people say that. Oh, racism is it doesn't exist. Matter of fact, David's friend that he was in the Navy with in the 80s, he told him said Dave, racism don't exist. This is the 80s, and I was
You
like,
know, I've actually heard a lot of people say that racism didn't exist in the 80s. I've
racism
actually heard
existed all through history. What the fuck are they talking about?
I
Well,
know, but
our history anyway.
it is ironic though that I have actually heard that a few times of people saying like racism was like healed like in the 80s.
Wait,
I've
so
actually
so
heard
what?
people
So
say
why
that.
didn't they play Michael Jackson and Prince and all of them on MTV until finally Thriller went on MTV?
Well, you know, I don't
You
agree
know
with
that,
it,
right?
but it is no, I didn't know that actually.
Oh
But
yeah,
you know, I find it ironic though that I have heard that a few times where but it's like what world are you living in? So many
exactly.
people are living under rocks.
You're almost like, what planet are you on?
Well, that's true.
You're like, come on now. Woo, woo, woo. And
But
I
you're
tell
so
people, I
closed
said
off,
that to me is not my first go-to.
right?
When I have issues with somebody or whatever, I'm not thinking, oh, well, they have a problem with me because I'm black. No, 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 no. That's not my first go-to. Because I've been, around many people. Um, but when I see it, I know
Right.
it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't even second guess it. I used to. I'd be like, oh, maybe no, 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 no. This is what it is.
Well, I'm
You
very
know,
consciously aware of that. You know, I can read the energy and I can read the rooms of all that. And, you know, and I probably have a higher, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh God, I can't even think of the word I'm looking for. Maybe I'm more consciously aware of it because of growing up with a white racist cop father.
right, right.
Maybe I'm vigilant is the word I'm thinking of. You know, I'm more vigilant to it. I'm more aware of it. Of
Yeah.
like I can sense and I can feel it. And especially as like living here where I do in South Carolina, it's like you know like we walk in and we see and I'm like, how do you not realize like everyone just changed? Everyone just it all just changed. Where it's like we are all the same human race. You know, you shit the same way. And guys who are watching this, listening, yep, guess what? Girls shit. We all shit the same way.
Not only that, I tell people, I said, we bleed the same blood because in all these years of doing what I do, I've taken care of every kind of people, every kind, every nationality. I can think about
Right.
it. Because I actually thought about this one day and I was like, okay, so I've taken care of Asian people, I've taken care of Russian people, I've taken care of African people, I've taken care of people from here, I've taken care of Latin people, I've taken care of people from across the pond, I've taken care of people from everywhere that look all kind of ways. And you know
Right.
what? They all bleed red blood. I said in the other part, me and this girl was talking the other day, and I said, when you need a blood transfusion, do you fucking ask what the people's race is? Do you even know? They
No,
don't even know.
they don't label it on it. It is called A O B A
B, A,
B. You
B.
know, that's
Yeah, exactly. And that's
it's what
what
it
that's what
is.
I was telling somebody. I said, I don't know who started that in the first place. I was like, I said, my thing is we should appreciate all of our differences. I do.
Right.
I don't want everybody to look the same. And I think about it like in our culture, kids look different. You know what I mean? And with the same parents,
Yeah.
because I think about my kids. My kids are different colors,
Yeah.
but they got the same parents, same mama, same daddy.
Well,
And that's just
well,
how
I
that
had the
thing
other
goes.
too, where look at, people all the time in the spiritual world that you talk about like connecting to your ancestors. Guys, if you really connected with your ancestors and if you really paid attention, there is not a single race, there's not a single race
Mhm.
that has not been prosecuted, has not been murdered, has not been enslaved at some point in time. We, as a civilization, have always believed that we can own people. It's
People still
gone
do.
from yeah, well, we still do. I said, we live in a civilization that we believe that we
Hmm.
can own people. But so at one point, you were castrated. Like white people were castrated. Indian people were castrated. Every person has been castrated. Have we not learned our lessons yet?
No,
Have we not learned, like we are the same people? But when you think about it, and I do think of it like on this line of how many generations, like my family, I mean, we've all been around since the beginning of time, but like my family, like DNA can actually be traced back to the 12th century. Okay, which that's the beginning of it. So obviously, it came from someplace else. But I think about how many people died, how many people sacrificed, how many people in my blood, the blood running through my veins, but yet I'm the person who's standing here. How freaking cool is that?
right?
How freaking amazing is that with out of all the other people, all the eggs, all the sperms that had to be regenerated, through all these people, I'm the one here.
Right,
And you don't think that you don't have a purpose? You don't
right.
think that we're not all supposed to get along? You don't think that we're not trying, that we shouldn't be trying to, as a humanity, raise and come together and work together? Like, why are we constantly at division over the stupidest things that no one has control over? I don't have control over the fact I have blonde hair and green eyes, just
I
as
was gonna
Tammy has
say,
no control over the fact that she is light-skinned black woman with, well, ginger type hair right now, you know, or
well, I
dark.
have a girl
Like,
over that. No,
but yet we
but
sit
yeah, yeah,
here and so many people get so angry over, and it has control over you.
yeah.
Why are you constantly giving your power away to something you have no fucking control over? I'm not even going to be polite about that. Why? You have no fucking control over. The only thing that you have control over is
Is you.
yourself.
And why does it even matter? Because you know what? The kids, they are not playing.
No,
They are not playing. I don't know if you noticed, but even commercials now. Have you seen different commercials now that are coming out?
I haven't really watched TV. I don't really watch TV, so
They
no.
have no, no, no. You see them on all kinds of places, YouTube and everywhere. I'm just saying, pops up. But you see the different stuff that pops up. So many different couples, like the kids, they don't
Okay.
care.
Oh, I love it. I
They don't
love it.
care. They are coming
Yeah,
together, and
yeah.
all kinds too. Like here, girl, here you'll see all sorts of things that you don't see in other places. Like I never see, and I'm not, okay, take it for what it is. You never see hardly Indians and black people together, like married.
Yeah.
You never see Asians hardly with anybody but, them, or, sometimes they'll marry a white person, but you see all kinds of shit here.
Yeah.
Like I saw a couple that was one of them was Russian, other one was African.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I mean, and
Well,
it's just so interesting.
it's beautiful to
Oh
me
yeah,
to
it's
see, like,
beautiful.
when people sit here and talk about how they don't have faith in humanity. Like, there's this one, he's a new white rapper. He's young. And the political raps that he is making, like, he just, oh my God, I've sent you a couple of his videos.
Oh, oh,
Um,
oh, oh.
he's phenomenal. But I love, cannot express love enough of that. This guy, he is young, he is educated, and he is using a platform and his voice to help make change and educate. And he's in his young 20s.
Oh
How can
yeah.
you not have faith and humanity at this younger age group of coming up, and they're calling the people out? Basically, the older, what is, like, so, like, I'm a Gen X, but I'm
The
the
boomers,
borderline. A what?
boomers, boomers.
No. So you got the boomers and the Gen X. What's next? There's another
Uh,
thing, and then it's the
it's
millennials.
millennials.
No, there's another thing. So, because, like, my
No,
birthday
it's
puts me in
millennials,
between
and
both
then
of them.
it's millennials, and then it's Gen Z.
Okay, well, the millennials, I guess,
Because
maybe.
because millennials go all the way up to almost your age, like
Yes, well,
late
I know
30s,
there's,
or I think
yeah,
it goes up to
there's,
like 39.
I'm a Gen Z,
Yeah, you barely made it.
barely, but I thought there was,
Gen
like, another one
X,
in it.
Gen
But
X,
those people need
Gen Z are the
to,
babies.
oh, no, okay, then
Because
yeah, I'm
it's
Gen
Gen
X.
X, millennials, and then Gen Z.
Okay. Whatever it is. We got to have all these fucking labels and all these. But
Right. Don't
basically,
even
it's
make a
like
difference.
people our ages and stuff like that, on the 20s and 30s, they need to wake the fuck up. They need to wake up. Like, we need to have massive spiritual awakenings. And it kind of goes into what you were saying earlier about how that, like, one, everyone does have their journey, and you do find your own gurus and different stuff like that. And everyone's awakening is at their own time.
Yes.
But how can you not be having a spiritual awakening with so much that is going on in the world? So many people that are coming out, so many people within the spiritual community
Because you
who are like,
sleep.
hey, doing this, you're asleep.
I
But
told
I
you.
also always say, never underestimate the value of planting a seed. Never
Oh,
underestimate
no, no, no,
of,
no.
like,
You
us using our voice,
always. Yeah.
doing this, and someone's going to hear it who they're like, huh, I didn't think of it like that.
I was gonna say, when they're gonna hear it 5 years later.
But we've
Cause
all
I
been there.
cause I have people like watching stuff on my YouTube channel now.
Yeah.
It's 5 years old. I started that channel 5 years ago.
But people weren't ready. But I think
No,
we live in a population now that I think, like, the Gen X's, and I think the babies are basically kind of like, all right, you middle people, move the fuck out the way. If y'all ain't gonna do anything, we're gonna get together, and we're gonna make something. We're gonna do something. And I think that time is coming. Talking about, a lot of people, and I don't follow politics. Tammy doesn't really follow politics, but I do check up on politics, like, every once in a while.
yeah.
But
I mean,
like,
stuff pops up on TikTok or wherever.
but, like, Germany, they just actually passed a huge, massive immigration bill that they're going to deport all immigrants. The
You know
people
what's
are standing up.
you know what the thing about it is? That's a whole another topic. Because
Well, it
the
is a
thing
whole other topic, but it's
because the
people are
thing of it
using their
is
voices.
like it's like sometimes they let these people come in like here.
Yeah,
They come in, they can get all kinds of assistance and shit,
right.
and they're not even citizens. They don't have to pay our taxes and all these things.
Oh,
And they're
yeah.
to
Well, there's
me,
a,
that's a whole thing.
it's the whole catch 22 on everything. But my point of it is it's the beautiful part of that people are having peaceful protests. People are
Oh yeah, yeah.
using their voices. People are standing up where, like, we hadn't done that on a large scale for a while. And I think
No,
that
we
people
haven't.
need to start speaking up. We need to start using our voices. We
Yeah.
need to start expressing this stuff. And again, though, guys, in a calm, collective manner. Because
Yeah.
again, if you can
No
allow
doubt.
the people, anyone else to change your mood, if you allow anyone to anger you, make you sad, they have control over you.
Right.
Stop giving your power away. Take it back. That's self-care. And when you start to do that, that's empowerment.
Yeah.
That's empowering yourself. That's fueling yourself of, hey,
Hmm.
look, I made this change. I
Yeah.
made this change without having to be ugly. I took the higher road, but you know what? I took it softer. I took it to a calm level. I didn't have to take a higher road and just ignore and allow myself to be suppressed. I didn't have to take a higher road and allow myself to be disrespected. I
Yeah.
was able to take a higher road and come at a person and be like, look, I feel what you did to me was disrespectful. That made me not feel very well about myself. And I just wanted to let you know that that's not right. You didn't have to, oh, but mother, blah, 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 like all these people do and stuff like that. That person has control over you. But if we can learn and grounding, that
Yes.
self-care, that taking
Yes.
care of each other, that meditation of just
Yes.
connecting into ourselves, you're gonna see
Yes.
improvement.
Yes. And,
There's
and
not a
and
person.
also, if you think about it, you know how a lot of times we'll zone out. Like, I don't know, when I was a kid, I did it all the time, and so they used to be like, "Come out of the clouds," that type of shit.
Oh God, yeah, it
But
was all that.
you zone out and stuff like that. That is meditation.
It is.
That's meditation. And so you got to kind of give yourself that, because what I feel is that so many people are like down on themselves because they don't think they can meditate. I can't stop my mind. I can't quiet my thoughts, that type of shit. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I was that way.
well, hey, we all were. I was too, because
Yeah,
I was like, my mind never stops working. It is always working.
yeah.
My husband
But
would tell
guys,
you,
let
he'd
me
be
tell
like, baby,
you,
shut it down, shut it down.
But let me tell you guys, I will tell you, especially if like you're like with me and like grew up in an abusive environment, an overthinker, an over stressor, just, and that just constant. When you can learn to quiet your mind and actually just sit there in emptiness and just all that, you want to talk about peace of mind.
Yeah.
You want to talk about just like complete, utter relaxation. Do it, try it, no matter how long it takes you. Because here's the thing, too, about that. I set the intention. The intention was I wanted to learn how to meditate. It took me a year, but I still set that intention. I still worked on it every day. I would take a little bit of time, and I'm not saying like you have to take 45 minutes or anything, like 5 minutes. Because some days
Right.
my life would be so busy and it was like, oh God, I didn't try today, but I had to consciously make that effort to actually sit down and start to meditate and try to do it. And like the first time I actually got into like a meditative state, guys, I came out of it so quickly because I was so, oh my God, did I just meditate? And then I couldn't get back into it. It was literally, it was like, it was that little frustration kind of came over me. Um, but then it made it so that I worked more. And yeah, guess what? My life has improved. My
Mm-hmm.
quality of life has improved. So many people
Mm-hmm.
talk about their love language and stuff like that. Oh, it's the quality, it's the quality. Well, guess what? If you aren't having and giving yourself quality time, how can you actually give anyone else quality time?
Because you know what? Charity begins at home.
Charity begins with self. Like what are
Exactly.
you doing for
Home.
yourself?
At this
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
It's like, people always want to think about, what are you doing for others and all this other kind of stuff. And I hear so much of this. Well, you got to make sure you're giving value. Okay, yeah, you got to give value. But first, you got to give it to you. First
Yeah. I
person is
am the
you.
value.
It's even like even I know that when I do like lives and stuff, a lot of times the stuff is for me. It ain't for nobody else.
Yeah.
But other people can get it because other people need it. However, it's for me first. Same thing with
Yeah.
readings. Like, I'll do a reading, especially if I'm just doing a reading. It's for me first. This is for me.
Mhm.
I just thought it would benefit all of y'all.
Right. But it all starts at home and it starts off with that self-care. What are you giving yourself? because, and it might seem like we went flying on so many different subjects and topics tonight, which we did and we normally do on
But
it,
it
but
wasn't
it still
bad.
always comes down to how are you feeling about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
How are you taking care of yourself?
Right.
I always tell everyone, like, people are always like, they want to find their soulmates. They want to find their
Right.
soulmate. Your soulmate is never going to find you if you are not taking care of yourself and if you are not loving yourself.
Mm-mm.
It's just not possible
Well,
because
the
your
other thing is
soulmate,
too, whoever does find you is going to treat you just like you treat yourself.
and and that's a hard thing for abuse victims
Yeah.
to take in. That was a very hard thing for me to subject, because to me it was, wait a second, bullshit, fuck you. No, because the fact that I was a child. But the reality was is that, what, as I became an adult, yeah, maybe I wasn't physically punched anymore, but that psychological abuse, because I was so my normal and I'd never stopped it, I was doing it to myself
Yep.
by that point,
Yeah.
because I never acknowledged it. I never tried to heal from it. I never did any of that because of the fact I was doing it to myself. Yeah, I attracted more people into my life who were going to do exactly the same thing that I was already doing to me.
Well, and it's where you came from. I mean, it's almost like, people that were raised in a household where, they had people that loved them, where they experienced love. It's a whole different thing than if you were in a family, in a household where it was abusive. It's a whole
Right,
different thing. You have a whole your whole everything, even how you think, your whole perspective, all of that stuff is different. You know what I mean? Like I had experiences, but I could never understand the experiences that you had with you in your house because I didn't have that type of shit. You know what I
right,
mean? Like I went through some stuff like everybody else in life, but certain things I knew. Like love was always there because my grandparents were there. My mom, she loved, in her way. But I couldn't understand that, how somebody could mistreat you like that. It's not something that it was in my awareness just because that's not something I went through. You know what I
right,
mean? And so everybody processes things through their lens. And then
right,
as you begin to heal and as you begin to look at those shadows, like for me, I went deep. To share. So I wrote my book about my mom, and I that was the most amazing thing that I could have done because that helped to heal the relationship that we had. And but I wrote this book. And so when I wrote the book, I had a friend, she got a copy and stuff like that. And so she read it. I said, "Girl," I said, "How was it? What you think?" She said, "Girl," she said, "It was good." She said, and the story was good. She said, "And you're a fucking amazing writer." I said, "Yeah, I know that. Thank you, appreciate it." But she said it was good. She said, "But your story was white people horrible." She started She said because some of the stories in the book, some of the girls were like their mother was like mentally ill and on drugs and abusing them with cigarettes and all types of crazy stuff, that I don't have no awareness of. That's not anywhere in my awareness. But they were like, you know, one of them was, I think the mama left her on a train or something like that in New York, just all kinds of, crazy stuff. And so I just laughed about that. I was like, she was like, yeah, she was like, it was kind of horrible. She goes, but yours was like, white people horrible. And I just cracked up because I thought that was so hilarious.
right. But
But
but in the same thing, that's their perspective of thinking that white people just had it good.
well, that's what
Because,
that's what I was
right,
getting to. That's where I was
where
going with
it's
that.
like, no, like, come live in my white household, honey.
That's what I'm saying. It's all about perspective and
Yep,
what it is that you experience and all this kind of stuff. Is because it's like, yeah, no, I mean, I just don't have a reference for that.
right.
You know what I mean? Because I none of my daddies ever hit me, and I had three. None of them ever hit me. So I never experienced a man hitting me in my life.
Lucky.
One time my ex threw me into the door like of the closet, but I was 8 months pregnant. And that was probably about the closest thing I have come to like physical abuse from a man.
Right.
And After I put the knife to his throat, I didn't have that problem with him anymore. He never touched me again. Yeah, I just had to give him a reason,
Yeah.
you know. And I think, and like I said, for me, now you might have reacted in a different way. You know what I mean? At that time because you knew what abuse felt like from a man. Me,
Right.
never. My granddaddy never hit me. My daddy, my biological, never. My daddy that raised me, never. Never hit me. So I never felt that from a man. My mom always was the whipper. So I was like, okay. So for me, when that happened, the first thing I could think was, I'm gonna kill him. That was my first thought.
Well, that's why the ex-husband knew never to lay his hands on me because I always made it very clear that if a man ever decides to ever place his hands on me again, I will not be held accountable
Yeah,
for my reactions to it. And my ex-husband knew that. My ex-husband knew that I was crazy enough that if he ever did, so he chose the psychological abuse. He went the psychological route to try to break me down. But that's kind of the funny part because even as the essence of having that, he was still scared shitless. I mean, he could have hit me at that point, but he knew if he
because
went
he's
there,
bigger
I
than
would
you,
flip.
right?
Oh yeah, he's bigger than me. I'm a
Yeah,
tiny little thing.
right.
But yeah, but he knew. He knew because of the past experiences, the stories that I have told. If you cross that line, I was going to change where I crossed my line because yeah, I'd already had put, and people have to realize that too on a spiritual journey and stuff like that. And a lot when we get into these type of situations, that line to be crossed, we've thrown the stick. Like, you get to the point where it's like you just allow anyone to like cross any type of line. You allow anyone to just do kind of like whatever.
Yeah,
And on the spiritual journey, we have to learn to go fetch that own stick and we have to bring that stick back to us. We have to bring
yes,
that back. And that's what the boundaries are, guys. Like that's what like people don't understand it. Like when you're saying set that boundaries, it's the fact that you've let that stick go so far. Like you may not even. And I had to realize that in my own healing journey is
yeah,
that like I didn't even know where the stick was anymore. I didn't even know where that line was. I didn't even know where the sand was anymore. And I had to go fetch my stick, and I had to pull that back in. And that's self-love,
yeah,
that's self-care,
yes.
but I had to take the time to go look for that stick. And
See, and
now
that's
that
the
stick
part.
is drawn where, yeah, you don't even attempt to pass it. You don't even get chances with me. Like it's not even there because one, I never respected my own life before. I now respect my life. If you can't
Right.
respect me as a human being, then you don't respect yourself. I don't want those type of people in my life anymore.
Well, and that's where you draw the line. Like I talked to a few people and they were like, yeah. I said, well, how was your holidays? I hadn't talked to them since last year or whatever. So how was your holidays? Blah blah blah. Oh, it was first they said, oh, it was good. Then they said, no, it really wasn't. I said, I went to spend time with my family, and you know what? We don't even get down like that, and I'm not doing that ever again.
Yeah.
And
And
I
that's
was like,
okay.
look, I just said, I understand that.
And that's okay. But
It
the
is.
reality is what is so many people allow the disrespect to constantly happen to them. And
Yes.
where does it start? We allow it through our family. Like, that's why I always tell people, like, you have to look at your environment. Like, if you truly want to heal, if you really have to, you're going to have to make a lot of tough choices. And that's what it
Mm-hmm.
really comes down to is, what choices are you making for yourself? But if you're
Yes,
on that
yes,
healing journey, if you're on a spiritual journey, there are people you are going to have to choose
yes.
to let go of.
I was going to say, and the first person you have to choose is you. And then you have to choose those that you need to let go of. And sometimes it hurts. I can tell you that sometimes it hurts. I have had to let go of some people that I thank you so much for the stars and the gifts. Um, I have had to I've chosen people to release out of my life, and sometimes it was painful. It was some hurtful shit because maybe because sometimes what I learned is that sometimes you connect with people because you're both trauma bonding.
Yeah. So many
And
people
then
trauma bond.
And then when the trauma is over for one of you, then the other one,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. And so, but that's the thing I wanted to talk about is that, sometimes it's painful. You got to release these people. And sometimes they're family members like Megan.
My
Sometimes
whole
they're
family.
friends like me. Sometimes they are friends and family. But you know
Yeah.
what I learned is that family is who you make it. The
I
people
like
that
to tell
you love them. You don't you choose to love them.
I like to use the saying, blood clots and water runs clear.
I heard that.
I love that saying. I don't know, a long time ago it came to me and it was just like, if you really think about it, blood clots. So why are we holding on necessarily to the blood? But you're exactly right. Even as horrible as my parents were of growing up, I still wanted a relationship with my parents. They're my parents. I
Right.
still wanted to, maybe one day they're going to have their epiphany. Maybe one day they're going to have their
Maybe they'll have an
awakening.
awakening.
Maybe they'll, yeah, maybe they'll have
And you
their
know what?
awakening.
They may have one before they leave this earth. You never know.
They still might, but you know what? But at where the point is to it, it's not that it's a little too late, but it is. And that would be my choice, is they could come to me, but when I was bleeding out to you, I was crying to you of like how you made me feel, how my childhood was, and I got responded back to, who gives a fuck, I tossed you around like a rag doll. Guess what, guys? These are the environments and these are things that you get to choose of, like, okay, well, I'm happy that you have an epiphany. I'm happy now that you've seen the light. I'm really happy for you, but you also did not care at all about the respecting or wanted to hear what I wanted. And for years, I was screaming against a brick wall. I'm still so much above you on a level that I send you love and light. I wish you well, but you can't have access to me again.
That's the part.
And you have to learn to be good with that. And you have to learn to be okay with that.
Yeah. It's hard though.
It is
We have
completely
to
hard.
say it's not easy. I always like to say this because I remember when I would watch people and they would be talking about this stuff and they wouldn't be real and they wouldn't be authentic and they would make it sound like, oh, you just got to do it. It's what you got to do. Not
It tears you
acknowledging that.
up.
That's what I was gonna say. Not acknowledging that it is hella hard.
Yeah,
When you have to let people go that have been in your life, that have, you might have thought they loved you, or that you might supposed to have them in your life, that type of thing.
right.
When you have to let those people go, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. I had to sit down with those things, and I had to sit down and, I had to think about my family. I had to think about my generations of, what it was that I wanted to teach, what it was. And, it was not an easy choice for me to sit there. That really created more on my healing journey. It was literally more of that roller coaster, that up and down, of just praying to God. I mean, to be truthful, I mean, if you really, that's like one prayer that has never been answered, is to have my parents wake up, to have my parents like have their epiphany and stuff like that. But I can't control that. I can pray for it all day
No,
long.
no,
I
because
can,
free will.
but again, but I can pray for them. I can
Oh yeah.
send them. And,
I
I
mean,
did that for a long time.
to me, that's more about you than them.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know what I
because it
mean?
was for me. They're
Because
happy and content with how their life is. They're
that's what
happy the way it is. And even with me not fitting into that picture, they're good with that. So I had to be like, you know what? You are okay with the thought. Like, I've already told you, like, if you can't change these ways, like, and everyone knows, you give ultimatums. Ultimatums do not work out. They do not work out in your favor. If you have to throw out an ultimatum, you already know the answer.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna
let's
say.
just,
You've already lost.
yeah, you've already put it out there. You're the one creating the contrast and stuff like that. But I put out those ultimatums, and guess what? That ultimatum got handed back to me of, "Eh, we don't care." Well, I choose me. I choose me. I choose me. I'm
And
no
that's the
longer going to put
point.
myself out there. I'm no longer going to do that. I'm now going to choose me, and all that energy, all that love, all of that that I have tried to pour into you that honestly was never accepted, never wanted, never received. I had to find a place for it to go. And I wasn't like everyone else who, a lot of times in these situations, oh, let's go find me a man. Because you know what? In those same relationships, I was having the same issues. I was having the same thing. It was the same pattern. It was the same subconscious programming. It was the same thing where it was, so I had to learn, nope, you know what? I'm going to, for one time, do something completely different. This one time, I'm going to go ahead and you know what? I'm going to put that love into me. And guess what, guys? I even have kids. It wasn't I was going to put that love into my kids. It was not, because I was even starting to see and recognize certain patterns that were going through, and me being that umbrella mama and doing all this type of stuff. And I was like, I don't want my kids to be me and like rely on me either. So I had to kind of even step back even in that arena and be like, okay, I'm not going to pour my love into my kids kind of right now, because I got to learn how to fill my own freaking cup. Because what had happened, one, I was so codependent on my parents. I allowed them to be able to control their relationships. But what a lot of people do, and they don't realize this too, that grew up in abusive homes, when you have children of your own, you flipped the parents for the children. You now are doing the exact same thing, and you are creating those same dynamics within these children.
See,
We
and
have to change it.
I never subscribed to that. I was dead set on that stuff because I felt like um there was nobody for my children. So I knew that I had to raise them so that they would know how to be independent. So they would know how to take care of themselves. Even today, I cannot even remember the last time any of them asked me for money. Seriously, they don't do it because I raised them to be independent.
And
You need
seeing like I
money?
was not.
Go fucking get it.
Yeah,
There's so many things you can do to get extra money, Uber Eats, whatever. Um, but I was like, nah, that's how I raised them, because when I was raising my kids, my mom still had her own kids. She was
right,
still raising my brothers and sisters. My mother-in-law, she smoked like a chimney and she was smoking the house. And I didn't want my children to be around that. Like
hmm,
she would literally light up 4 or 5 cigarettes in a row and smoke them right at the kitchen table.
yeah,
And I was like, no, I can't have my children with that. She would have taken them. And then she died. So it would have made, and they could definitely not be with my ex-father-in-law. Oh no. So I was like, okay. And my ex already knew.
right,
So I said, let me make sure that if anything happened to me, that these kids know how to take care of themselves. And that's how I raised them. But I seen so many of the opposite. Like David's kids was like
me.
that. And I could never understand it. I'm like, they 20 and they don't know how to get on a plane? How's that about?
Yeah. But so many parents do create that dependency. And see, and I even did it unconsciously. I didn't do it knowingly. I didn't know that any of that stuff was even
Well,
being done until
you did the
now.
pattern. You did the pattern. It was a
Yeah.
pattern.
And
Because
now,
I'm
you
sure they
know,
weren't the first.
no, no. But yeah, but it's recognizing that, but it's choosing me. Now there are things, guys, that you set in motion. There are things that you set into play, and stuff doesn't stop on a dime. Just
Right.
because now you become consciously aware of it doesn't mean that pattern still doesn't have to be take time to break, because now it's like you have to take the action steps. Now on to that codependency is how are you doing things, and it does take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to be a miracle, but what are you doing to try to move that dial forward? What are you doing
Right.
to try to help yourself to better your situation so then you aren't in those situations anymore?
Yes.
And give yourself credit for it, because other people may not give you credit for that, that you're doing this or doing that. But if
Exactly.
like you're really kind of doing something that is just completely outside of your norm, of like, okay, well, I'm doing this, I'm trying to learn this, I'm trying to do this, I'm doing this because I don't want to be this anyway. pat yourself on the back.
Yes.
Self-love, self-care, be your cheerleader, you know?
Yes.
There's some stuff that, I thought that I would never like kind of do. Like, honestly, some of this like technology stuff like that. It's not an interest of mine. It's not
Yeah.
a passion of mine. But because I need the
Thank you,
dial to
Minister, for
move,
joining.
there's stuff that that we need to learn. I need to learn. And so you have to look at, what do you have to learn for yourself? What do you need to do to give yourself love and care?
Right. Because the
Mm,
thing is it's different for all of us. What I see as self-love and care might be different from what you see. You know what I mean?
right?
Like I'm trying to find me a good masseuse. That is definitely self-love for me. And also, like I said, when I worked out yesterday, it was so amazing. I was like, okay, I got to get more of this in my life
Yeah.
because it was just fire. I was like, okay, this is good. Like I felt good doing it. Afterwards, I slept like a rock. I don't think I woke up once in the night, not once. So it was just an amazing thing. And to me, that was self-care.
Yeah.
Like I juiced and I started drinking some juice. Like I made some carrot and celery and all these other things, and then spinach and whatnot, all this beets, whatnot. So I made this juice, and to me, it felt so good when I drank it. And I had already decided that that was something that I was going to do was a cleanse. So to me, that's self-care. You know what I mean? That's caring
Yeah.
for myself. Also, people always talk about like, getting your nails done and getting your hair done and all those things. Those are great things, but those are things to me that's not really self-care because it's what you should do anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when you think about it in that way and you start really trying to work on you and how you take care of you in whatever ways you need to. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, so maybe walking in the park or hiking or going to the beach or doing whatever, maybe those are things that feel good to you and that are self-care for you, but maybe that's not what I like. You know what I mean?
Right.
so
Hmm.
you so you have to decide what works for you and what self-care looks like. It's just like those love languages. It's like gifts and whatever words of affirmations and blah blah blah, whatever. Those things are all good, but is that what works for you?
Yeah. Well, we all have the different ones, and then people also need to remember that we all have every single one of them. First of all, like you don't
See,
have
the thing
not that
is
one or
you
that one. It's just what
you
order.
do, but is what do you like? Like for me, those things are all good and I love them, but my love language is travel. And my
Yeah.
husband knows that. I like to
Well, that's
travel. I
let's
like to
get
go somewhere
acts of
more.
service and kindness.
Right. So you think about it, it's like, okay, yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But which one
yeah.
is it? Because there's an order, but you have to figure that out. And let me tell you guys, I'm going to go ahead. I am going to give you kind of just a little. Physical is no one's number one. And I would actually place bets on that, if you went and took tests, because physical is survival mode.
Yeah. That's root chakra issues, yes.
Yeah, that it's complete aspect because, and we can have a whole other conversation on this, but here's the thing, guys. If you think about it, we were ingrained, we needed physical touch as a child, as a
Yes.
baby. You needed
Yes.
someone to help you out. You needed someone to do something for you. So you got ingrained a physical touch. Then what happens? Then it's the emotional, then it's the mental. But as we get older, we're supposed to reverse engineer that, where it should be a mental, emotional, and then physical. So people who, to me, and I'm in the dating world, when people are like, oh, physical touch is my love language, honestly, guys, that's a red flag to me. Like you're in like complete survival mode.
Right.
And that's
Absolutely.
that's how I kind of look at that, of like you're more than just a body. And I hate it for you that you can't even connect with yourself on a deeper level to find out what is it that really actually gets you going. Like my
Right.
my number one um love language is acts of service, acts of kindness. Do something kind for me, add value to my mental health. That to me is a love language. That shows me that you care about me. That shows me that I'm loved. That makes me feel loved. So like I'm right there with you. But so many people don't even take the time for that. They just say, "Oh, physical touch. Oh, I need physical touch. I need." No, guys, that's survival mode. Because guess what? You can touch yourself.
You can. Very easy to do.
Very easy to do.
So it tells us, great job. We've been live for 90 minutes.
I was just gonna say it's 10 o'clock.
I was gonna say it's time for us to land this plane because I know you tired and I was tired before I got on here.
Yes, ma'am.
I told David, I said, I could go back to bed. I said, because girl, when I tell you we worked out good. When I
Well,
got
good for
home,
you
I was
guys.
so sore. David too. He took him some ibuprofen to work because he's. I said, I know, because when we got in that gym and we did the thing, and then we got in the pool and it was like, oh my God. I said, all they need is a damn hot tub. They don't have a hot tub.
Uh, but the sauna's
But they
good
did,
for
but
you.
they have a sauna, yeah. I got in the sauna.
Mm.
So yeah.
All
But
right,
anyway,
lovely. Well, this
thank
was
you
our
so
first time
much,
on TikTok.
y'all. Yes, we did TikTok live. We'll be back on next Wednesday to do another TikTok live. And we
Yes.
love you guys on Facebook. We'll definitely be back next Wednesday as far as I know.
Yep.
We love to talk about all this stuff. And also, something I was gonna say. Anyway, tell the people what you got going on.
I just right now, if you're ready to, reclaim your power or reclaim your life, reach out. That's what I do. My specialty is I help people recovering from unhealthy, toxic relationships get a renewed sense of, self-awareness, self-love, and self-identity, and, figure out who you are to have the life that you've always wanted. You can catch me here, you can catch me out on Facebook, and you can catch me out on the LJDN radio network every day, Monday through Friday from 9 to 12. And, it kind of goes, what comes up comes out on there. You never know what we're going to talk about, just as you're never going to know here, because of the fact that, this is life. This is real life. This isn't scripted. And these are real things that are people going through. I love to help people. Tammy loves to help people. And, if there's ever a subject matter that, you guys want brought up and you want talked about, send us a message. Send us
Yep,
a
on
note.
any of these platforms.
There's nothing that we are not willing to talk about or to,
No.
help change a perception or to shift or to help you see something,
Yes.
because that's what we do. That's who we are. We're visionary, transforming, people, and that's what we do, and that's what we love, because we also know personally that's what it took for us to make the life that we want,
Yes.
and we're no
And we
different than you.
definitely. So how do they listen to the radio show?
So check out the ljdnradio.com. It's internet radio. It's taken
There you
over
go.
the world. So many new radios are coming up, and we are on there. And so again, that is the ljdnradio.com. And from 9 to 12, you just go on that website and you hit the link, and then we will just pop through your computers. And then, yeah, you can find us here. And that's what I got going on. What you got going on, girl?
Okay, so that make sure you tell them that's 9 to 12 Eastern time.
Oh, Eastern time. Yes. Eastern time, 9
Because
to
that makes it.
12. That does make a difference. I always forget about time zones.
I know, right? It's like because I rarely ever catch it. Because by the time you guys are getting done, I'm getting up. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's too early. I can't do early. Anyway,
And it's live, guys. So it is
and
just
it's
like this.
live, so it's awesome. So again, thank y'all for hanging out. Y'all can catch me. I would like for you guys, if you are on TikTok, I would like for you to go to my bio and click on YouTube and follow me there. Watch some videos because I am monetizing that channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are on TikTok, go and grab my series on intuitive development. It's on the spiritual gifts. I have a series on of that, and I also have a series of a meditation series on how to meditate. And so those are the series that I have on TikTok right now. You can always go in my TikTok shop. I still have that shadow work journey journal that is amazing. Um, this one still have that shadow work journal. That is amazing. And it is so helpful to get you in that space of doing your shadow work and learning yourself and all of these things. So you can go on my TikTok shop and find that as well. I will be coming up with some another series on affirmations, also one on the chakras. I have to say that correct for my friend Supriya. Your
Chakras.
chakras. So I'm doing a series on the chakras, and that is going to be super intense for me because I'm going into the chakras and their relationship to your body and ways that you can help to make sure that everything is working correctly. But I'll also teach you about how it's connected to, because chakras are energy centers, and so I'll teach you how they're connected to your body, as well as the diseases that happen according to which chakra that it is. So I'm going to be teaching all of that on the series on chakras. But all those other series right now, they are $4.99. So less than a Starbucks. So you can grab those there, and then I'll be having some more workshops and stuff coming up as well. So just keep watching the space and stay connected. And I'll also be going live Sunday with Sunday service with the Morrisons, and the Morrisons are actually going to be going live a few more days in the week. So again, thank y'all for hanging out with us. Thank y'all on Facebook for hanging out. It's been amazing. We always love to do this. We'll see you guys next week. And again, if you have any um thing that you want us to talk about, make sure that you send us a message. You can send it on Facebook, you can send it on TikTok, you can send it on Instagram, on what's that other place, Threads. You can go watch a
Yep.
video on YouTube and send it, and I'll see the notifications. So all kind of ways that you can connect with us. And if you are a spiritual entrepreneur and you would like to get yourself out there, you're trying to get on podcasts, come and join me on Straight Out of Savannah, where I interview spiritual entrepreneurs who are changing the planet. So you might want to come soon, because it's gonna the podcast is going to change. It's making some changes. It's doing some shifting. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been amazing. We've had a wonderful time as usual. Um, Peace, love, and light.
Yeah. Have a great night.
Have a great
Namaste.
night. Ending TikTok. Ending here. Oh, wait.